I was 23 when I took a solo road trip through Arizona. It was one of those classic find-yourself journeys after a brutal breakup and a boring office job that sucked the color out of my days. I packed up my car with supplies, loaded my camera, and headed into the Sonoran desert, planning to camp out for a couple of nights under the stars. I wanted peace, solitude. I got something else. It was late September, still hot during the day, but with a strange stillness at night. I parked off an old half-paved road somewhere outside of Joe. No cell signal, no lights, just me, sand, and distant rocky hills. Perfect, I thought. I set up camp around 6 p.m. A small tent, fire pit, my backpack. The sky turned gold and then purple as the sun dipped behind the horizon. I ate some canned beans, took a few photos, and let the silence settle in. But something was off. Not just quiet, empty. I didn't hear any insects, no coyotes, not even wind, just the sound of my own breath. I figured it was just the remoteness, maybe my nerves adjusting to being completely alone. But then I saw the first tracks. They weren't mine. I'd been sitting by the fire, and when I stood to grab something from the car, my flashlight caught a single set of footprints about 10 feet away. Barefoot. Human, but long, like someone with unusually stretched feet. I followed them for a few feet until they disappeared into the rocks. I called out, "Hello?" More out of instinct than expectation. No answer. I tried to laugh it off. Maybe they were old. Maybe they belonged to another camper, but I knew they hadn't been there earlier. I went back to the fire, stoked it higher. That's when I heard the first sound. I spurred. Not in English, not in any language I knew, just outside the circle of firelight to my left. It was soft, like someone breathing words you can't quite understand. I shined my flashlight toward it. Nothing. Swung the beam around the desert. Still nothing. I told myself it was the wind, the heat messing with my ears. But I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I felt like something was watching me. Just before dawn, I heard walking. Not footsteps exactly, more like dragging. Something slow, methodical. It circled my tent 3 times. I held my breath, gripping my knife, not daring to make a sound. Then it stopped.
I waited. Then I heard it crouch right outside the tent. I could hear its breathing, low, raspy, like sand scraping metal. I didn't move, didn't even blink. When the sun finally came up, I burst out of the tent, knife still in hand. No one was there, but there were tracks, deep ones, leading away from my camp, and not barefoot this time. Hoofed. I left immediately. Didn't even pack everything. I drove until I hit cell service again, then pulled over and threw up on the side of the road. When I told a ranger later, he just gave me a look. Then he said something that stuck with me. You were in sacred land. Old land. Some things out there, they don't like being watched. I don't go into deserts alone anymore, not because I'm afraid of snakes or dehydration. I'm afraid of that thing that walks just beyond the firelight, the one that whispers in a language older than time and waits for someone dumb enough to listen.
I used to work as a utility technician for a power company in Nevada. Most of the time, I handled routine maintenance near Las Vegas or small desert towns, but every now and then they'd send me way off-grid, miles into the desert to check on equipment that hadn't been logged in years. These jobs always felt eerie. No traffic, no buildings, just miles of sun-baked dirt and heat shimmer. One particular job sent me out to inspect a decommissioned relay station near the edge of the Nevada Test and Training Range. Government land, mostly unused these days. I was told the structure was old, non-operational, but we'd had satellite blips that needed checking. I left just after sunrise in a company truck with enough gear for an overnight stay, just in case. By mid-afternoon, I arrived at the structure, a rusting metal tower surrounded by chain link fencing. The place was dead silent. Not a bird, not a buzz, just wind and that deep, buzzing silence you only get in the desert. I climbed up, inspected the tower, and saw nothing unusual. But as I started down, I saw them. Like 3 faint orbs hovering maybe a mile out. Not planes, not helicopters. They were perfectly still. Then they blinked. Once, twice, then vanished. I radioed it in, but the static was too thick to get a proper response. As night fell, I set up camp beside the truck. The sky was breathtaking, millions of stars. But I couldn't stop thinking about those lights. I kept checking the horizon with my binoculars. Nothing. Until about 11 p.m. I saw the lights again. Closer this time. Still hovering. I stood up and turned on my flashlight, waving it toward them. And they started moving toward me. Not fast, just steady. As they got closer, I noticed something truly strange. There was no sound, no wind, no human, nothing, just those lights drifting like jellyfish through the air. I backed up to the truck and grabbed my radio again. Still dead. That's when I saw the shape behind the lights. A figure, tall, thin, standing beneath the largest orb. Its limbs were unnaturally long and its eyes glowed. It raised one arm and the radio in my hand exploded with static. My ears rang. The lights surged forward all at once. I ran, didn't pack, didn't turn off the equipment, just floored the truck through the sand, headlights off, bouncing across the rough terrain until I reached the dirt road. When I looked in the rearview mirror,
there was nothing behind me. No lights, no figure. Just darkness. Back at headquarters, I tried to report what happened. They told me the relay station didn't exist anymore. They checked the GPS logs on my truck. The data was missing from the time I claimed I saw the lights. Erased. To this day, I don't know if what I saw was alien, supernatural, or some government experiment I stumbled into. But I know this. Some parts of the desert were never meant to be mapped.
I'm not religious, never was, but the desert changed something in me. Or maybe it showed me something. I still can't say which. This happened 2 years ago in southern Utah. I was hiking alone near the edge of a massive canyon, far from any marked trail. I was searching for old petroglyphs, something I do for fun. I'd studied anthropology in college, and I liked finding places tourists hadn't ruined yet. About 5 miles into the hike, I saw something strange jutting out of the sand. With not natural driftwood or debris, this was shaped. A beam. I dug around it and uncovered what looked like the corner of a roof. Curved, old, and scorched black. Something told me to keep digging. Curiosity. Instinct, or maybe something else. It took hours, but I uncovered what looked like the top of a steeple, the very tip of an old church buried beneath the desert. There was a hatch built into the steeple, rusted but intact. Against every ounce of common sense, I opened it and climbed inside. It smelled of ash and something older. Decay. The ladder took me down into darkness. My flashlight beam flickered over burnt pews, shattered stained glass, and what looked like salt lines on the floor. Like someone had tried to seal something in. At the front, there was no altar, just a pit. Deep. Black. Something told me it was dug, not built, carved with symbols I didn't recognize. I was about to leave when I heard a whisper, not in my ear, inside my head. A woman's voice, crying. I turned and saw her, pale, dressed in old ceremonial robes, standing at the far end of the church with her back to me. "Don't look into the pit," she said. "I'm warning you. That's how he gets in." Then she vanished. Not blinked, not faded. 1 second she was there, the next she was gone. I ran for the ladder and climbed out as fast as I could. As I reached the surface, the hatch slammed shut beneath me on its own. The desert was suddenly darker. The sun dipped fast, like it was trying to get away from the place. Then I turned around to mark the location on my GPS. The structure was gone, buried, like it had never been there. I've gone back twice since, same coordinates, nothing, no wood, no sign of fire, just sand and rocks. But sometimes, I still hear that voice in my dreams. "Don't look into the pit, that's how he gets in." And every time I wake up gasping for air, like something's trying to drag me down. If those stories left your throat dry and your skin crawling, you're not alone. The desert isn't just a place of silence and sand. It's a graveyard of forgotten things. A stretch of land where time warps, logic bends, and something ancient watches from just beyond the dunes. Whether it's strange lights, ghost towns buried beneath centuries of dust, or whispers coming from nowhere, one thing is certain: the desert remembers what we forget. Maybe you've had your own encounter. Maybe you felt that same unnatural silence on a desert road at night, or heard footsteps when you were supposed to be alone. If you've ever experienced anything out there, no matter how small, how strange, or how impossible, I want to hear it. Share your true desert horror story in the comments below. Your experience could be featured in a future episode. If these tales chilled you to the bone, hit that like button, subscribe for more true horror stories every week, and share this video with someone who thinks the desert is nothing but heat and dust. Let's show them what truly lies beneath the sand. Thank you for watching. Stay safe, stay alert. And the next time you find yourself alone under the desert stars, remember, some things buried should never be uncovered.